I stood on the cracked sidewalk, staring at the endless swarm of people rushing past me. They didn't see me. Nobody did. It was my first morning in New York City. I was 19, a suitcase in one hand, and a heart full of silent prayers in the other. I came from a town so small, it didn't even have a traffic light. A place where everyone knew your name and your business. A place where dreams were nothing but whispers people laughed at. I didn't want to spend my life there, working at a gas station by day and waiting tables by night. Living paycheck to paycheck, counting coins in a jar, watching life pass me by. I wanted more than fear. More than struggle. I wanted a life I could call my own. And somehow, I believed this city, this heartless, roaring city, would give me that chance. But the city didn't care about a girl like me. Not a black girl from nowhere, with no money, no family here, no backup plan. I rented a tiny room in a crumbling apartment. One cracked mirror, one narrow bed, and walls so thin I could hear my neighbor crying herself to sleep. But it was mine. For the first time in my life, I had something that was mine. I woke up every morning, walked the streets, handed out resumes in places where no one even looked me in the eyes. Some days, I skipped lunch to save money. Some nights, I fell asleep on an empty stomach. But what hurt more than hunger was the fear that I had made the biggest mistake of my life. What if I wasn't good enough for this city? What if I wasn't strong enough? What if this dream of mine was just a cruel joke? But every time those thoughts came, I fought back. I told myself, no, I didn't come here to fail. I came here to live. I didn't know how. I didn't know when. But deep in my bones, I believed that something or someone would change everything. And then I met him. It was a rainy afternoon. I had just been turned down for the 4th job that week. The manager didn't even let me finish my sentence. I stood outside the glass doors, watching my reflection in the puddles. I looked tired, defeated, swole. I felt the familiar sting in my eyes, but I swallowed it back. I wasn't going to cry in the middle of the street. Not again. I turned to walk away and bumped into someone. A man. Tall, wearing a perfectly tailored black suit, silver cufflinks that caught the light, and eyes that seemed to look right through me. He smiled. Not the kind of smile I was used to from men in this city. Not a smirk, not a hungry glance, but something softer, something unexpected. "I'm sorry," I whispered, stepping back. "No, forgive me," he said, voice low and calm. "Are you all right?" Nobody ever asked me that here. I nodded, but I wasn't all right. I wasn't even close. I tried to move past him, but he didn't walk away. "Do you have a minute?" I frowned. See, 100 warnings screamed inside my head. Don't talk to strangers, especially not rich men in expensive suits. But something about him, his eyes, his voice, felt different. And God knows, I was so tired of being invisible. So tired of walking past people like I didn't exist. So, I said yes. We Saturday in a cafe around the corner. He ordered coffee for both of us. Black, no sugar. He introduced himself. Victor Reynolds. He owns several companies, investments, real estate, and God knows what else. I felt out of place. A girl in worn-out shoes, sitting across from a man who probably owned the building. But hey, he looked at me like I mattered. He asked about my life, where I came from, why I came here. And for the first time, I heard my own story out loud. He listened, really listened. And when I finished, he said the words I never expected to hear. I admire your strength. Strength, meh. I stared at him, wondering if he was mocking me, but there was no trace of it in his face. In that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hoa. I thought that meeting would be the last time I saw him. But it wasn't. The next morning, he sent flowers to my apartment. No note. Just a single card with my name written in gold ink. I didn't know how he even knew where I lived. But instead of fear, I felt something else. A strange flutter inside my chest. That same evening, I ran into him again. By chance. Or maybe not. He asked me to dinner. I said yes. Without thinking. The restaurant was like something out of a dream. Velvet chairs. Crystal chandeliers. A violinist playing soft music in the corner. I Saturday there. In my simple black dress. Feeling like a stranger in a world I didn't belong to. But Victor, he didn't treat me like a stranger. He spoke gently. Listened closely. And every time I tried to pull away, he pulled me right back in. He told me about his life. How he built his empire from nothing. How people betrayed him, used him, left him broken. And when he spoke, I saw something in his eyes. A kind of sadness I couldn't explain. Maybe we were both broken in different ways. Maybe that's why I wanted to believe him. He told me I was special. That I was unlike anyone he'd ever met. And somehow, I wanted to believe that too. He dropped me off at my apartment that night. Didn't ask to come in. Didn't try to kiss me. Just smiled. And said, "I'll see you soon." And I couldn't stop hoping that he meant it. I kept telling myself I wasn't falling for him. That it was just kindness. A man being generous to a girl with nothing. But days turned into weeks. And Victor, he kept showing up. with flowers, with soft words, with a look that made me feel like I was the only woman in the world. He took me places I never imagined I'd see. Private art galleries, evenings on rooftops overlooking the city lights, dinners on yachts, holding my hand like I was his greatest treasure. And I started to believe that maybe I wasn't just a poor girl in a borrowed dress. Maybe I could be someone in his world. The way he looked at me, it made me forget how broken I felt inside. It made me forget the girl who cried alone in a cheap apartment. But there was something I didn't want to see. Something hiding behind his eyes. At times, he would go silent, his gaze turning cold, like a door slamming shut inside him. I told myself it was nothing. Everyone has scars. Everyone has secrets. I wanted to be the one who healed his scars, who broke through his silence, who made him feel alive again. But deep down, a quiet fear whispered in the back of my mind. What if his scars were wounds he wanted to open on someone else? I shook the thought away. I wasn't going to doubt him. Not after everything. Because in his arms, I didn't feel poor. I didn't feel afraid. I felt loved. And maybe that was all I ever wanted. It happened on a night that felt like a dream. A soft summer wind brushing against my skin. The city lights flickering below us. And Victor, standing beside me on the balcony of his penthouse. I thought it was just another dinner. Another evening where he'd make me feel special. And I'd pretend I wasn't falling apart inside. But then, he turned toward me, and I saw it in his eyes. That look I couldn't read. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small velvet box. I frowned. My heart slammed against my ribs, and for a moment, I couldn't breathe. He opened the box, and inside, a ring, diamond, sparkling like a shard of ice. "Marry me," he said, his voice soft, but firm, like it wasn't a question, but a command wrapped in silk. I stood there, flouncing between fear and something else I couldn't name. This man, who saw me when no one else did, who held me when I felt invisible, was asking me to be his wife. And yet, something twisted inside my stomach. A voice, so small, it felt like a whisper inside my bones. Don't say yes." But I smiled and said the word I thought would save me. Yes. And in that moment, I believed I was walking into a fairy tale. But deep inside, I had no idea I was stepping into a nightmare. It happened on a night that felt like a dream. a soft summer wind brushing against my skin, the city lights flickering below us, and Victor, standing beside me on the balcony of his penthouse. I thought it was just another dinner, another evening where he'd make me feel special, and I'd pretend I wasn't falling apart inside. But then, he turned toward me, and I saw it in his eyes. That look I couldn't read. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small velvet box. I frowned. My heart slammed against my ribs, and for a moment, I couldn't breathe. He opened the box, and inside, a ring, diamond, sparkling like a shard of ice. "Marry me," he said, his voice soft, but firm, like it wasn't a question, but a command wrapped in silk. I stood there, frowned between fear and something else I couldn't name. This man, who saw me when no one else did, who held me when I felt invisible, was asking me to be his wife. And yet, something twisted inside my stomach. A voice, so small, it felt like a whisper inside my bones. Don't say yes." But I smiled and said the word I thought would save me. Yes. And in that moment, I believed I was walking into a fairy tale. But deep inside, I had no idea. I was stepping into a nightmare. The ceremony was everything I thought I'd never have. White roses wrapped around marble columns, golden light shimmering like stars. Hundreds of guests I didn't know, all smiling, all watching me like I was something precious. I stood at the altar, dressed in a gown that cost more than my entire life back home. Lace, pearls, a veil so delicate I was afraid to breathe. And Victor, standing across from me in a black tuxedo, looking like the man every girl dreams of. Calm, confident, his eyes locked on mine. He smiled, and for a moment, I almost believed I was safe. I whispered my vows, my voice shaking, but I said the words anyway, hoping, praying, that this would be the start of something beautiful. We kissed. The guests applauded. The music swelled. And inside, something inside me cracked. I looked into his eyes, and for a single second, I saw something cold, dark, something that didn't belong in a fairy tale. But I pushed it away. I told myself I was just nervous, that I was overthinking, that love, real love, would fix everything. I smiled for the cameras, held his hand, danced beneath crystal chandeliers, played the part of the happy bride. And all the while, a silent scream echoed inside my heart. Please, let this be real. Let him be real. Let this be the life I've been fighting for. The honeymoon was quiet. Too quiet. Victor took me to a private villa near the ocean. Everything was perfect. The view, the food, the air itself felt softer somehow. But him, he was different. Colder, more distracted. Like he was somewhere else, far away from me. He didn't touch me the way he used to. Didn't whisper my name like it meant something. He watched me, always watched. At breakfast, in the hallway, even when I was brushing my hair in front of the mirror. I'd look up, and he'd be there, staring, expressionless. I tried to make conversation, tried to laugh, tried to reach him, but he'd only nod or answer with one-word replies. "You're quiet," I said one evening as we Saturday watching the waves. He didn't turn to look at me, just sipped his drink. Then he spoke. I like silence. The way he said it, it wasn't gentle. It was sharp, cold, like a blade pressing just beneath my skin. I laughed nervously, trying to make light of it. But inside, my chest tightened. My thoughts grew heavy. That night, he locked the bedroom door, and I wasn't inside it. I slept on the couch, wrapped in a blanket too thin for the wind coming through the glass. My heart, colder than my skin. Maybe he just needed space. Maybe I was too much, too emotional, too loud for a man who liked silence. But still, a part of me knew this wasn't what love felt like. Knew this wasn't what I said yes to. And for the first time since I met Victor, I felt afraid. Not of being alone, but of who I was now alone with. It started with a word I didn't even realize could cut. We were back home, in his mansion, a place so big I could get lost in it. Marble floors, endless halls, silence thicker than the walls. I was in the library, one of the down scenes of rooms I wasn't sure I was allowed in. I touched a book on the shelf and whispered to myself, so much space for so little love. I didn't know that he was standing right behind me. "What did you say?" His voice sliced through the air. I turned, my heart stumbling in my chest. I didn't mean. I started to explain, but I didn't finish. His hand moved before I even saw it. A blur, a sound, a sharp, brutal crack against my face. Pain exploded through my cheek. My knees buckled. The floor rushed up to meet me. I lay there, staring at the pattern of the carpet, not moving, not breathing. He stood over me, breathing slow, too slow. His eyes dead. I don't like sarcasm, he said. His voice calm, colder than ice, like I was a child who needed scolding, or a pet that needed to learn. I pressed my hand against my cheek. It burned, but not as much as the shame. I'm sorry, I whispered, and hated myself for it. He smiled, bent down beside me, ran his fingers across my hair, like I was something precious. Good girl. I wanted to scream, to run, to fight, but I just nodded. And inside, I broke a little more. That night, I lay awake in our bed, his arm draped over me, like a chain I couldn't escape. I stared at the ceiling, and for the first time, I asked myself the question I never thought I'd have to ask. Is this what love costs? The next morning, he brought me breakfast in bed. A silver tray, fresh strawberries, warm croissants, and a single red rose. He kissed my forehead, called me his angel, said he didn't know what had come over him. It was a mistake, he whispered. I would never hurt you. I stared at the tray, at the hands that served me, the same hands that struck me. And part of me wanted to believe him. Because if this wasn't a mistake, if this was who he truly was, then what did that make me? A fool, a prisoner, a woman who sold her soul for love. I took the cup of coffee from his hand, first a smile, and whispered, "It's okay." His smile returned wide, almost too wide. "That's my girl," he said. He sat beside me, told me stories about his business, about the men who betrayed him, the women who lied to him. And every time he spoke, I felt smaller. He told me that loyalty was the only thing that mattered, that women could be dangerous, cruel, manipulative. He said he'd had to teach some of them lessons. And his eyes, they didn't blink when he said it. I swallowed hard, my hands trembling beneath the sheets. But I kept smiling, nodding, agreeing with every word. Because deep inside, I already knew I wasn't his angel. I was his next lesson. And the worst part, I didn't even know how to escape. At first glance, my life looked perfect. Victor showered me with gifts, diamonds, designer dresses, vacations in places I'd only seen in magazines. We hosted parties in his mansion, famous guests, laughter echoing in gilded halls, photographs of me smiling beside a man I barely recognized anymore. The world saw a happy wife, a lucky girl who married into a fairy tale. But behind closed doors, I wasn't a wife. I was a possession. A pretty thing he could show off and lock away when he was done. I wasn't allowed to leave the house without permission. My phone, he checked it daily. My friends, one by one, they stopped calling, stopped answering, or maybe they were afraid to. Every part of my life became his. My words, my body, even my thoughts. I learned how to smile on command, how to laugh when he told a joke, how to keep my eyes down when he walked into the room. And each time I did, I lost another piece of myself. But the worst part, I started to believe that maybe this was all I deserved. Maybe I was stupid for thinking I could have more, for thinking a man like him could ever really love a girl like me. And somewhere, in the dark corners of my mind, a silent voice whispered, "You are nothing." I sat in front of the mirror one morning, staring at the stranger in the reflection. A girl with hollow eyes, a girl wearing a golden cage like a crown. I touched my face, traced the faint scar on my cheek, and whispered, "How did I let this happen?" But the mirror had no answers. It happened in the quietest of moments. A whisper, a shadow of a thought I wasn't brave enough to say out loud. I was sitting in the garden, a place Victor rarely came. I liked it there. It was the only space that felt mine, even if it wasn't. The sun warmed my skin. The flowers swayed gently in the wind. And for a moment, I pretended I was free. That I was a girl with a life, a future, a heart that hadn't been beaten into silence. And then, I heard voices. To maids passing by. They didn't see me hidden behind the rose bushes. I heard about the last one whispered. She ran away, but not far enough. She ended up in the hospital, the other replied. Third wife, I think, or was it the fourth? Their voices faded into the distance. But their words, they stayed. I sat there, frowning, a strange numbness crawling up my spine. So it wasn't just me. I wasn't imagining this nightmare. I wasn't his first. And if I didn't do something, I wouldn't be his last. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling I had memorized by heart. And for the first time, I didn't ask myself if I deserved this. I asked myself, how do I survive this? The thought wrapped around me, Soft at first, then stronger, louder. I need to leave. I need to get out. Before I become a name they whisper about too. And somewhere inside the ashes of the girl I used to be, a spark flickered. Not hope, not yet, but something that tasted almost like courage. I waited for the right moment, but the right moment never came. Because with Victor, there were no safe moments. Only carefully measured seconds between fear and survival. He always knew where I was. Always watched. Always listening. But that morning, he left for a business trip. One night away. 24 hours. And for the first time, the house felt breathable. I stood by the front door, my heart pounding so loud I thought it would shatter my chest. One bag. One small bag with enough money I'd been hiding for weeks. A burner phone I bought in secret. A plan that barely felt real. I took a deep breath, reached for the handle, and turned it. The door opened. A crack of freedom. A breath of air that didn't belong to him. But before I could step outside, I felt it. A hand on my arm. Fingers cold. Gripping tight. Going somewhere. Victor's voice. Low. Like a knife sliding between my ribs. I frowned. See. My blood drained from my face. I was just. He pulled me back inside. Shut the door with a soft click. His eyes burning holes through mine. Trying to leave me. He smiled. A smile colder than winter. I shook my head, but my body betrayed me. Tears spilling before I could stop them. He ran his hand down my hair. Gentle. Too gentle. You disappoint me. And then, the back of his hand, crashing into my face. Harder than before. I hit the floor. A blur of pain. Fear exploding inside my chest. And above me, his voice like poison. Next time, I won't be so kind. He left me there, on the cold marble floor, breathing in shattered pieces of myself. And in that moment, something inside me didn't just crack. It broke. I knew now. I wasn't safe. Not tomorrow. Not ever. But I also knew I wouldn't stop trying. I couldn't. Because if I didn't leave, one day, I wouldn't leave alive. I spent the next days moving like a shadow in my own home. Silent. Invisible. I smiled when I had to. Laughed when I must. But inside, I was planning. I knew now. Running wasn't enough. If I tried again, he'd kill me. But if I exposed him, if I showed the world the monster he really was, maybe, just maybe, I'd be free. I started watching him, noticing his patterns. When he left the house, who he spoke to, where he kept the keys. And more than anything, when he lost control, he had a room, a hidden one in the basement. I wasn't supposed to know about it, but I heard him once, on the phone, talking about discipline. I followed him, stayed out of sight, watched him disappear behind a door I'd never seen before. I knew, whatever was inside, it wasn't meant for anyone else's eyes. I needed proof, real proof, something that couldn't be erased, something no apology could cover. So I searched. Every night, when he slept, I crept through the house like a ghost, until I found it. A small camera hidden in his office drawer, one he used for his games. My hand shook when I held it, not from fear, but something else. A fire that burned hotter than my terror. I would use it. I would make him show the world who he really was. And when the world saw, maybe I wouldn't be a prisoner anymore. I wasn't running this time. I was fighting back. My hands trembled as I set up the camera. Every click echoed like a thunder in my chest. I told myself this was for me, for every bruise, every broken promise. The next time he raised his hand, I would be ready. I waited, watching, listening for the moment. It came sooner than I expected. A small mistake, a slip of his control. He lost his temper over a spilled drink. His eyes flashed dark. His hand grabbed the whip from the table. I didn't move. I didn't scream. I didn't try to stop him. Because this time, I was holding the truth in my hands. The whip cracked against my skin. Pain burned sharp and real. But my heart beat louder than ever. The camera caught every moment, every cruel strike, every hateful word. And when it was over, I stood there, shaking, but free in a way I hadn't been before. Because I had proof that he wasn't the man he pretended to be. I wasn't alone anymore. The world would see him, and I would be safe. I knew I couldn't stay silent any longer. The video was my weapon, my shield. I uploaded it under a fake account, hoping it would spread, hoping someone, anyone, would see the truth. The days that followed were a storm. My phone buzzed non-stop. Messages from strangers, from women who whispered their own stories. Some angry, some scared, some full of hope. Victor was furious. His calls came late at night, threats dripping from his words. But I didn't answer. I stayed hidden, safe. The police got involved. Evidence in hand. Reports filed. It wasn't easy. It wasn't quick. But slowly, justice began to take shape. And through it all, I found my voice. A voice louder than his whip. The girl who once whispered in shadows became a woman who screamed for her freedom. And finally, the chains began to fall. The news broke like a wildfire. One video, one truth, and the world finally saw him for who he was. Headlines screamed his name. Millionaire accused. Wife beater exposed. I watched from a distance. On a borrowed phone. In a place he'd never find me. Reporters swarmed his mansion. Police searched his office. His investors pulled out. His partners disappeared. And Victor, the man who once controlled my every breath, was reduced to a headline, a disgrace. He tried to deny it, called me a liar, a gold digger, said I framed him. But the evidence spoke louder. Louder than his money, louder than his lawyers. And for once, the world listened. I didn't smile when I saw his face on the screen. Didn't feel proud. I felt free. Not because he was falling, but because I was rising. Out of his shadow, out of his prison. I wasn't his wife, his victim, his possession. I was made alive, and finally, safe. The air felt different now, lighter. Like the world had shifted. Or maybe I had. I walked the streets of a city where no one knew my name. No whispers. No stares. No chains wrapped around my shadow. For the first time in months, I wasn't looking over my shoulder. I wasn't waiting for the monster in the suit to come pull me back into his nightmare. I was alone, but this time, it wasn't a curse. It was a beginning. I rented a tiny room, paint peeling from the walls, a bed barely big enough for my hope, but it was mine. Why? I found a job at a coffee shop. Long hours. Small pay. But no one hit me. No one called me names. No one locked the door. I stood behind the counter one morning, pouring coffee for a stranger, when I caught my reflection in the glass. For a moment, I didn't recognize her. That girl with tired eyes, but standing tall. And then I did. I smiled. Softly. For me. I wasn't the broken girl in the mirror anymore. I was the woman who survived. One breath at a time. One small step. I was building a new life. One where love didn't come with bruises. One where freedom wasn't something I had to beg for. And in that quiet morning, with the sun pouring through the window, I whispered, "I'm still here." And for the first time, I believed it. Freedom wasn't just escape. It was healing. It was choosing not to be silent anymore. One evening, I walked past a shelter for women, a place I'd once been too afraid to enter. But this time, I walked in, head high, heart pounding, but steady. I told them my story. Not all of it. Just enough. Enough for the woman at the desk to look at me with eyes full of something I hadn't seen in a long time. Respect. They asked if I wanted help. I shook my head. I wanted to help. Weeks passed. I started volunteering. Talking to women with the same scars I'd once carried. Some fresh, some old, but all of them real. And as I listened, I realized something. I wasn't alone. I'd never been. There were hundreds of us. Thousands. Women who wore invisible chains. Until we broke them. I became a voice in the dark. A hand reaching back for those still trapped. And every story I heard, every tear I wiped away, healed a piece of me. Victor took years from my life. But he didn't take my future. He didn't take my power. I gave that back to myself. And no one would ever take it again. I stood outside the courthouse. The place where his trial would begin. I wasn't there to testify. I'd already done that. I wasn't there for him. I was there for me. To see him one last time. Not as my nightmare. Not as my captor. But as a man. Broken by his own sins. They brought him in. Handcuffed. Surrounded by guards. A shadow of the man who once towered over me. He didn't look at me. Didn't speak. Didn't try to twist his lies into point. He was nothing now. Nothing to me. I turned away. Not because I was afraid, but because I wasn't. I walked down the courthouse steps, the sun warming my face, my heart light. I whispered goodbye, softly, for him, for the girl I used to be, for every scar he left behind. And I meant it. This wasn't his story anymore. It was mine. I walked away, step by step, into a life that belonged to me. A life I would never give away again. Pain didn't break me. It woke me up. I learned that love, real love, doesn't come wrapped in fear, doesn't leave bruises on your skin or your heart. I learned that silence is a weapon, one he used against me, and I against myself. But not anymore. I speak now. I fight. For me. For every woman still trapped behind walls they didn't build. I am not my past. I am not his victim. I am not his shadow. I am me, alive, unbroken. And this is just the beginning. Because hope is a quiet fire. But once it's lit, it never dies. I walked into the sunrise that morning, with nothing in my hands, but everything in my heart. The past behind me, the future ahead. And for the first time, I didn't feel afraid. I felt free.